You're winning. You're winning. You're winning. You're winning. Welcome to another episode of Epic Understanding. I am your host, Coach Erica Love. I'm very excited tonight because I'm talking about something extremely potent, powerful, and real. You just can't get more real than the mind, body, and soul. Our guest tonight is both a medical doctor and a PhD in Ayurvedic medicine. Um, he's a radiologist and a nuclear medicine physician. So you can't get more concrete than that. And so when I met him and found out that he had such a deep connection to the soul, I was flabbergasted and I was immediately intrigued because so often you talk to physicians and they have this mechanical thought process about our bodies. Um, Medicine really can't even tell us when death truly occurs. They can say, is it stop when you stop breathing, or is it when your heart stops beating? But that is simply because life is more than the sum of our parts and the sum of our existence. I said all that to say this. Tonight's guest is going to help us gain some insight regarding the connection between our mind, body, and soul. Hello, Dr. Cote Patrick. Take yourself off mute if you don't mind. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. If anybody has the ability to speak deeply to this subject matter, it is you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, well, thank you very much for inviting me. This is really amazing. Giving me the platform to
Hmm.
talk about the things I've been thinking about for decades.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everyone. And I just want to start off by saying I'm not a preacher. I'm not a man of the cloth. I'm not a monk. I'm not a swami. I'm a doctor.
Hmm.
Have I have seen quite a bit in my lifetime, and I searched for many, many years for some answers. And I have a little presentation that I want to show everyone to help them out through what we're going to be talking about. And you could accept what I'm saying or not accept. It's really up to you. I'm just trying to guide you on a path to enlightenment that I have found. And I
Hmm.
hope that it helps other people also.
I love the fact that you say, I'm not a preacher, I'm not a monk, I'm not a swami, I'm just a doctor. You're just a man who's dedicated his life to medicine and how we work. You're not only a radiologist, but you're a nuclear medicine physician, and you have your PhD in Ayurvedic medicine, but you're just a doctor. I think that if we're going to listen to somebody, it should be you because you have taken the time to dive deep into who we are, but yet you've taken the time to dive deep into our humanity as well.
Well, there's a lot to it.
Hmm.
A lot
Well,
going on.
it is. It is. I have your slides here. Let me pop those up.
Okay,
Let's see. Here we go. Here we go.
very good. Well, I'm going to come up with a good title site. decided to come up with God and the purpose of life, the purpose of our lives, and
I
how we
like
fit
it.
God's plan. And maybe I should talk like the TV preachers, the evangelists, when they talk about God, they refer to God as God, God, to put an emphasis on God. But in any event, we'll just move on. All right, next slide, please. I have a slide with the agenda. If you could just
Okay, I got it. Here we go.
go. Okay, very good. So when I was a child in Catholic grammar school, we had to learn who is God, and we'll be discussing that. And maybe the better term is what I'm really going to be discussing is what is God.
Ooh.
Mm. And I'll be discussing about spirituality and really what is our purpose in life? What is our ultimate goal in life? Why were we born? Were we just born through happenstance and we go through life willy-nilly and hope for the best, and then we die and it's over?
And then Dr. Cote, because I don't want to miss anything you're saying, there's just a little bit of ringing in your mic, just a little bit of ringing when you speak.
Is this any better?
No, that's actually worse.
All right.
Maybe just turn it down just a little bit. It's just a
Turn the
little bit.
mic down.
Yes.
All right, I got to probably have a little bit
Nope.
too much.
More ringing. I don't know what that is. I don't.
Maybe it's up too high. Any better?
No, it's like it's going doom doom doom. Oh,
Any better?
Maybe we'll have to suffer through it.
So,
Oh, it's not doing it now. Whatever you did there, it's not doing it. It's gone. But we can't hear you now. So, oh gosh. We can't hear you, but the ringing's gone as well. The ringing is gone. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, doctor. You have to take yourself off mute. No wonder we don't hear it. It's but that right there, this is wonderful. Good. No ringing.
Great. All right. I thought that was the tinnitus in my ears ringing. Anyway.
Okay, great. Okay, ready. We're ready. Go.
All right. So these are some of the things we'll be discussing. And I just want to, the next slide, we just show how infinitesimally small and inconspicuous we really are. We look at the universe. This is just one of the galaxies in the universe. So we're not even the tiny speck in the cosmos. And all around us is darkness, it's energy, and nothingness. Well, almost nothingness. All right, next slide, please.
All right. Almost nothingness, huh?
Right. Well, we'll see. We'll get into that. I came across this poem by William Blake. I thought it was very apropos. To see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Gives us some...
Wait, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. That's very beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? All right.
William Blake?
Yes. All right, let's move on. Okay. So when I was in grammar school, we were taught catechism and we're asked the question, who is God? God is the creator of heaven and earth and all things, the stars, the galaxies, the planets, everything that we experience. That's the creator.
And then we're asked, where is God? God is everywhere. We call it omnipresent. Well, how could God
Mm-hmm.
be everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
God knows all things, omniscient. God knows everything. This is some God. God had no beginning and has no end. God is eternal. Then, really, what is God? And I think I mentioned last time that religion and science were always in conflict with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to try to do is to bring them both together and explain one through the other.
Okay.
So, in Hinduism, I think maybe Swamiji is listening, and
Yes.
some of my wonderful Indian friends, God is the generator, the operator, and destroyer. And the first creation is Brahma, who generates the universe. Vishnu is the God that keeps everything, keeps all the universal uh, laws of physics and chemistry throughout the universe. And then in the end, the universe is destroyed. And that has to do with the god Shiva. But I want to get to the next slide so we can get
Okay.
a little more information. All right. If we look at the Vedas, the books of knowledge from India, talks about the journey of consciousness into matter. And on one side, you see Purusha. Purusha is pure energy, it's pure consciousness, it's formless, it's without attributes, it's eternal existence, the ultimate truth, and that's God, and can exist alone. This is the energy of God. Now,
Okay.
Prakriti is a part of God, of this whole energy, that wants to create matter. So if we look at Einstein's formula, and who really summarizes all this beautifully, if we look at the E, the E equals mc squared, that's energy. Now we know by the first law of thermodynamics that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. All energy in the universe is constant, but it can be converted into matter. That's because we see the equal sign going into matter. So they have energy, which really is God. God is all this energy in the universe. It is the universe, and the universe is in this energy, it comes from this energy of God and creates matter. And we'll go into that a little bit later. But there's a tendency for this energy to produce matter. The universe, I mentioned here, is the child born out of the womb of the divine mother, Prakriti, it's called. Prakriti cannot live alone because the basis of all matter is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me of when we look at the cloud chamber, when we look at these subatomic particles, they pass through the cloud chamber, you can see the track going through, and then we lose it. And then it shows up someplace else. Well, what
Okay.
happened? What happened to it? It went from matter to energy back to matter. And I remember also when I was in radiology residency, the radiation physicists used to tell us that the radiations from the X ray machine and from cosmic radiation also travels in what they call packets of energy. What do you mean, packets of energy? Well, that's because the energy, some of it gets converted slightly into matter and then back to energy. And I think that's the basis of the black holes. Black holes are so dense that the energy, light cannot escape. because the light also carries a small amount of matter to it. And the gravitational pull is so great that light cannot escape from the black hole. That's another story. Anyway, let's go to the next slide.
I'm listening to you and I hear you describing God. And I wonder, am I smart enough to understand what it is that you were saying? that is what I wonder.
You know what? Let's go on. I know maybe some people's eyes are rolling in the back of the head and glazing over.
Well, not rolling in the back of my head, but I'm, finding myself thinking, I can't
I'm going to
touch the basis of what you're saying, but go ahead. I'm listening.
All right. So God is this pure energy. Now, God is eternal because energy cannot be neither created nor destroyed, according to the first law of thermodynamics.
Okay.
So science helps us to better understand what we're talking about. God is energy, always was and always will be. And I'm going to go into that a little further.
And now see that I understand, and I actually get that. What do you think about this idea of us calling God a he or she? Like he this, he that, and then you have other people that refer to God as a she.
God binary, non-binary, no. God is neither he nor she. God is pure energy.
That makes sense.
From this energy, all matter is created.
Okay.
Right. I remember when I was an altar boy many, many years ago, and also when the priests used to say the mass in Latin, they would always say "Paramnia Saecula Saeculorum," which means "world without end," and we would say "Amen." But what it really means, and I'll give you an example that's in a few moments. It means through all cycles of cycles. That's what I was driving at before. The world is created, the universe is created. It exists for, trillions of years, and then gets destroyed, and then starts in all over again. So the universe is part of God. It comes from God. God, the creator of heaven and earth, and everything that exists that we can experience. God always was and always will be. God is eternal. And we are part of God.
Now that makes sense to me.
From God. Right? Everything that exists. And I'm going to go into this even a little bit deeper in a few more slides. So we are part of God. So we exist because of energy within us. The energy came from the universe, came from God. So the basic particle of matter, like say the proton or subatomic particle, the basis of that is energy. This goes from energy to matter and back. Okay. Now, NASA scientists tell us that only about 5% of the world or universe that we can experience is what we see and experience, I'm trying to say. About 25% of matter is dark matter. We don't know what it is. It's there, but we just don't know what it is. About 70% of the universe is dark energy. Well, energy is there, and I think that dark energy is all a part of God. And don't forget, from God comes the Holy Spirits. Spiritual existence is a part of God. And so in one sense, we are all connected by God's energy. And I'm going to mention later on in the slide that's the basis for remote healing, psychic healing, That's how that occurs. We may not be connected physically, but we are connected through God's energy.
There's a question that popped up here, and it says, "Can we say that God is a spirit?" Um, and I would say, from what you're saying, you would say, "Can we say that spirit is energy?" Because the spirit is energy is essentially what
Absolutely.
you're
That's
saying.
what it is.
So that, of
Sure.
course, then we can say God is spirit, right?
Yes. Yes. God is energy. You want to call it say
They're really
spirit?
tracking with this idea of energy. They're tracking with that idea.
Yeah. Um, that's another. See, everything God. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Just remembered. Uh, Getting a little senile here. What I want to say is that everything, everything has a consciousness.
Mm,
God is the universal cosmic consciousness, and everything from that, especially our spirits,
mm-hmm,
spirit world,
mm-hmm.
are the individual manifestations of this cosmic consciousness. So the individual cosmic consciousness, that's what we have. And we're all
Okay.
a part of the universal cosmic consciousness.
Hmm.
It's I know a lot of these things I'm throwing at you. I'm sorry.
No, I like it. I
Mhm.
like it. I like what you're saying. What I'm truly able to gather at this point is almost why God is eternal, because he is the substance of what everything is. So if there is an everything, then it is God. If
It
there,
all comes from God.
right, if there is, well, spiritually, of course, like I've always known that, but scientifically, what you're saying is that scientifically, God is the thing that makes everything um, something.
Right, come into existence. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. See, yes, God is the big E, but there's also an equal signs to mass and matter. So so it can shift back and forth. Part of God becomes matter, and then matter can return back to energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But all energy, which is the basis of all matter, also is constant because
Okay.
energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And that goes along with the first law of thermodynamics, which makes a lot of sense. That's why God is eternal.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
are part of God. So, what does that mean? Are we eternal too? Well, using logic, we are also eternal. We are
Mm-hmm.
eternal spiritual beings. Remember, I said last time that Tallard says we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience here on our life on Earth. Okay, let's go a little more confusing. Let's go to the next
No,
slide.
because you said that last time. I loved it, and I love it all the more this time because, you know, I have I when I meet someone who's an atheist and they're just very set on the concrete um, that we are experiencing, and we start talking about this idea of energy, my question is, well, where does that energy go? Because we both know energy doesn't, dissipate. It's
Right,
going to go
right,
somewhere.
right.
And it has to go somewhere. So for me, that is why I have to know that there is a beyond.
Uh, well, I would say yes, it definitely is, but then you have to take my word for it.
I
But I
think
have
I'll.
reasons for
I think I'll take your word for it. How about that?
well, I have reasons for saying that. I have a lot of reasons for saying that. And a very good friend of ours who recently died, Bharat Shukla, we're very good friends. He said he was in India and he had an operation and he died on the table. He flatlined and he saw himself before two spirits. And he was in spirit form. And
Mm-hmm.
they said to him, "It's not time yet. You have to go back."
Mm-hmm.
And he noticed, he said, didn't have any legs. Well, you have nothing. You don't have to walk on anything on Earth. So they are in spirit form. You really don't need feet and legs. You don't have to worry about getting bunions, anything like that. Next,
Oh, that's funny. Uh, that's that's pretty funny. Um, let's see what David has to say. We'll let you go on. But David, what are your thoughts, David, thus far?
So first, I want to say thank you for having me, Coach.
My
I want to
pleasure.
say hello to Dr.
uh,
Conte.
welcome, David.
How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. I want to say that I've definitely had some of your thoughts, and I definitely agree with most of it. I've had this conversation with myself a lot, and uh, one thing that I'd like to think is that God created science so that we can explain so, so that we can explain what goes on in the world
Absolutely.
on a smaller level.
I agree.
And then another thing, there was another thing that you said about energy, and I remember back in school learning about kinetic energy and potential energy,
Right.
and we're in it, like there's a lot of like we're in a constant state of like moving, vibrating, all of that, and it's all kinetic and potential energy.
Mm, I
Well,
like.
you can look at God as potential energy because God is formless without
Hmm.
attributes, but it has a tendency, going along with Einstein's formula,
Yeah.
to produce matter.
Hmm.
And now I'm going to go into that.
Hmm.
What's this matter it produces? And I'm going to explain this, and then everybody's eyes are really going to roll back in their heads when I start
Right.
explaining this.
Wow. Look, this comment came in. Rather than living or dead, our spirit lives forever. I like that comment.
Hmm.
Very
Yes,
nice.
I believe that.
yes, yes. Yeah, we'll be getting into that when I talk about our purpose in life. Why are
Mm-hmm.
we here?
Hmm.
Is it just happenstance we're here? Is there a reason why we're here? I give you so many stories why I'm saying the things I'm saying.
Hmm.
Uh, I'll try to be brief, though. I know that we're a little short on time. But uh,
Well, you're really peeling this onion for us, so I appreciate it.
hope it's not making you cry.
No, it's not making me cry. It's making me happy. It's making me smile,
That's
right?
good. That's good. That's good.
I just
So,
really like that there are people that are totally on one side of the spectrum and on the other side of the spectrum, but then also at the same time, you could be on both sides of the spectrum. Like you can totally believe in science, you can
well,
totally believe in God. There are definitely people that believe in both,
see,
and
go ahead.
it's it's I feel like it's more comforting to me at least to think of both or to believe in both.
All right, that's very good. But I understand why people are atheists because
Hmm.
Yeah, let's talk
I
about that.
don't want to get into the depth of the conversation because it's a little controversial.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, when we talk about God, I'm trying to define what God is, but there is some controversy in the Old Testament of what God is.
Oh,
Mhm.
really? How
Yes.
so?
Um, oh goodness gracious! I really can't get
Hey,
into that.
we're
I
we're
think
we're,
that's the
we're getting
reason.
into deep stuff. We're in deep water on purpose. So yeah.
Doctor, I actually kind of want to ask you a question.
Sure,
Who is God to you?
God is what provides everything for me through many different channels.
Hmm.
And it's through God that I am here, and it's through God that I will return to God,
Hmm.
to the spirit world. And that's as I go along, I will give you a little more of my ideas, what
Hmm.
that's all about.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what I noticed? I noticed that doctor never uh really talks about who is God for him personally. He really focuses on what is God.
Hmm.
And I think those are two very distinct, different ways of thinking.
Right.
well, we all have our own ways of relating to God,
Hmm.
the
That's
God and the spirits, and that's fine.
yeah.
I'm not telling you have to do this, you have to do that.
Right. But I wanted to ask that question because I know that it's like I've had this conversation, like it's different for everybody. Like to some people, God is their healer. To some people, God is their get out of hell free card. To some people,
Oh
God
God.
is like it's it's different for everybody.
Right,
But
right,
like he's something to everybody.
right. And through God, we have the spirits. We have our guides, our spiritual guides, our
Hmm.
spiritual guardians,
Right.
the ascended masters that are also there to help us, to assist us. They know that life on this earth is tough. It's
Absolutely.
difficult. They realize that.
Hmm.
And they are there to help us. But we ignore them, or we don't even know that they exist until somebody tells us.
Right.
They do exist. And we should pray to our spirits and our guides and our guardians. And I'm including the prayer to our guardian angel at the end of the talk.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think we should take heed to that as well. But there's a there's an awful lot to discuss. I wanted to discuss how God creates matter, and I don't know if I should even go into this because it's very little scientific.
Hmm.
I don't know if anybody ever heard of the God particle. It's called the Higgs boson.
Hmm.
That's the first thing that is produced. And in Hinduism, this would be analogous to the first creation and where everything comes from this from Brahma. He's called that
Hmm.
it's a metaphor for what how God produces this. See, that produces the energy produces these very very tiny particles called Higgs boson,
Hmm.
and they form a field. And the idea of this field is to slow down the energy to produce matter. And what it does, it produces these little tiny positive particles called protons.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, if I stop me if I'm losing you in any way. All right, little tiny protons. Well, they
Hmm.
bind together these protons, and they form a star.
Hmm.
It's the hydrogen ion, and they form together to form helium. So it goes from hydrogen to helium, and in the meantime, there's a loss of matter, and that's given off in terms of energy. It's called nuclear energy because it's coming from the nucleus. All right, I don't know. Anyway, it gives off energy, and that's what we see in our sun, coming out of our sun.
Right.
It's the protons that forming, or the hydrogen forming helium. But what happens when all these protons are used up and form helium, the star starts to contract, and then it starts producing heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier elements. So skip a few things here. Carl Sagan, who was a famous astronomer a number of years ago, used to say, "We are star stuff," because when these stars exploded, then we got the oxygen and the hydrogen and the calcium, the strontium, and the iron and magnesium came from the stars. And that's what's in our bodies.
So what you're saying is when stars burst, things are created.
Yes. Then the planets are created, and then life is created, right? Because we need all these elements in our bodies. We need the water, we need sodium, potassium, all these things. So they come. So the first stars, there's no life because of the first stars. They have to explode. And then our sun is probably maybe a second or third generation star in this area. All right. But where did this star stuff come from? It came from God's energy.
Right.
It came from the energy that produced the Higgs boson, the Higgs field, and the protons. So everything came from God. So what I say is we are not only star stuff, we're all made from God's stuff. So that's how everything, basis of our lives, our cells, every cell, part of our body is energy. And where did all this energy come from? It came from God. We are made up of God's stuff, not only star stuff, but God's stuff.
A lot of this is bringing me back to like high school science.
Like, I'm glad you were able to follow it a little bit.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like I wasn't very good at science, but at the same time, I still remember some of the things, like how you talked about protons, the positive cell, I think, or
positive volume. It's a positive charge. The proton.
Particle. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the electrons are negative and neutrons are neutral.
Right. What happens is, for it to go from hydrogen to helium, we have to have not only, if you see here, neutrons come from two protons that gain two electrons. The helium nucleus, which contains two protons and two neutrons.
Right.
No. See, in the star, this is the fourth state of matter. We have solid, liquid,
plasma,
gas, and plasma. It's so hot that you don't really have molecules and atoms forming. But what happens, two of the protons pick up electrons, and they're converted into neutrons. You need the neutrons to hold the protons together because like charges repel one another.
Right.
So you need the neutrons to hold them together. Anyway, that's a lot of fun to talk about.
So this question comes from Facebook. Is there a beginning and an end to everything?
Not everything, no. Can't be. No, physical existence, yes.
Okay.
Physical existence. The universe, there was a beginning, it was born, it's going to exist, and then it's going to be destroyed. And then it starts in again. Another cycle. Let me I'll tell you a story that might help put things together. Krishna is considered God in Hinduism. Right? And God's first creation is Brahma, the god Brahma, who then creates everything, all matter, and provides all the basic laws of physics and chemistry and whatever throughout the universe.
Okay.
So Brahma is the first creation. So Krishna one day summons Brahma, and Brahma goes to Krishna's beautiful temple in the sky. It's shimmering, it's so beautiful, it's huge. And he knocks on the door, and you hear the voice says, "Who is it?" And he says, "Oh, it's Brahma." And the voice asks, "Which Brahma are you?" He said, "What do you mean, which Brahma am I? I'm Brahma."
I'm the Brahma.
Okay, well, come on in. So he opens the doors and he sees this room. He can't see the end of it. It's magnificent and it's huge, huge room. And he looks around. What does he see? Brahmas. Brahmas with one head, Brahmas with two heads. Some Brahmas had 1,000 heads. What does that mean? When we talk about eternity, now we think in the future eternity. But how about the past? You think of eternity in the past, there are many, many, many cycles. Per omnia saecula saeculorum. The universe has gone through many, many cycles in the past of birth, existence, and destruction. And this will occur in the future. More and more cycles of universal birth and then destruction. It never ends. World without end. Right? And we are part of that world. We're a part of the energy world. Part of that.
Right.
It's kind of a hard concept to understand.
Well, it is, especially when, like for me, I come from the world of monotheism. Okay. And
Fine.
right. And so I believe, Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But when I listen to you, and I don't try to get so hung up on the names, because if you have a conversation with somebody and you're getting hung up on names, you're really never going to get anywhere.
Right.
And just think of God as the force in which everything is made and created. Um, that still comes down to monotheism to me.
Oh, there can only be one God. I mean,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there
Right.
are not two universes with two gods. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's irrational to think that way. And I remember when I went to Catholic college too, and the priest would say, "Faith without reason is irrational." Have some.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that.
Something.
Yeah, faith without reason. Look, we've heard faith without works is dead.
Dead. Yeah.
But not faith without reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So let's move on and see how much more I could confuse everybody. Yeah.
No, we like it. We like it.
So God is this universal cosmic consciousness, the divine eternal energy, which we are a part of. If we're here, we're a part of it.
Okay.
If something's not here, it's probably not a part of it. But we are here. Our souls, the angels, the divine spirits, each is the individual cosmic consciousness. But we are all a part of God because we all came from God. And eventually we will bind back to God, to the spirit world.
Right. That
That's a
just
good
sounds
point.
good, right? That just sounds good to hear. It just sounds good.
Right. I hope so. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. We are all connected. Okay? So Creation means to make something from nothing. Well, a carpenter will make a table and chairs from wood that comes from trees. But God is energy. It creates matter. It's exemplified by Einstein's formula, E equals mc squared.
Mm-hmm.
All matter comes from this energy. God's divine energy is the basis of the entire world, the entire universe, and all creatures within this universe, all physical existence. We are connected through God's energy, but although we may not be connected physically, we are connected through God's energy. And as I said before, this is the basis of remote healing or psychic healing, because we are connected through energy with one another, with the universe. Right? Okay, let's move on. That's
Okay.
I put
And
my book up there
I
on
think that when you explain it that way, we can then start to understand how um, we can be truly connected without making it so weird through our psychic powers, so to speak. Because if we're all coming from the exact same, place, it wouldn't be weird to you to have transferable pain or transferable enthusiasm. So that's just kind of part of it.
well, at least you're understanding what I'm trying to say, which is good. I'm happy about that. But now that we know about God and something about God, what is our life? Do we have a purpose in life? Well, why were we born?
Why are we here?
Yeah, why are we here? Let me tell you something. You may or may not believe me, but I have reason to say this. We know before we're born what we want to do, who our parents are, what we're going to look like, and we have a reason to be born. Well, let's talk about life purpose first. What is the
Okay,
purpose?
but I have to just hang out here for a second. Do you believe that's true of even animals? That animals have that connection as well?
Animals, all dogs go to heaven.
Ah, that's
Yes,
pretty funny.
yes, because they have energy like we do.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, I have to tell you a story. Um, when I was very young, I had two older brothers. We were, I might have been maybe 5 years old. And my brother's a little older than myself.
Uh-huh.
My father had gotten us a little dog, a little black dog. And it was a puppy. It was the cutest little thing ever. And I don't want to say the circumstances, but anyway, the dog got loose and ran into the street and was killed. Well, that devastated everybody. My father, I never realized how it impacted him. He had to go out, pick the dog up, and dispose of the dog. So about a year ago, Swamiji started telling me that he does these. He could commune with the dead, and so he said, "Would you like me to do for you?" I said, "Sure." Well, he started communing with my father, my dead father, who died a number of years ago, and I asked him a lot of questions, and he answered me, and it made a lot of sense. And then he said, "Oh, the black dog is with me." I said, "What black dog are you talking about?" "I don't know, black dog." I told Swami, I don't know. I don't believe what you're saying. I don't believe. My God, and it hit me, which happens so frequently. People with the dead, they told something but they don't realize what what they really mean. And then after a while, they remember, oh, yes. So I think it really had a tremendous effect on my father, as much as us as kids, plus the dog. And it's so comforting to know that the dog is
It's with
my
you.
father.
We have Swami G with us. Swami, can you hear us?
Loud and clear.
Hello? Maybe he can, maybe he can't. We'll
I-
work on it. I'll work on my technology. You keep going.
I can't.
And
But in any event, yeah, animals do go to heaven, and we meet them. Believe me. So we're talking about life purpose. So, like I said, is there a reason we are born? It reminds me of the cartoon I saw. Was somebody climbing up this steep cliff, and on the top of the cliff is a guru sitting there meditating, and he says, "Oh, great guru, what is the meaning of life?" And the guru looks at him and says, "Did you try Googling it?" I actually did that when I was writing one of my books. So why were we born? Do we have a goal in life? The answer is to eliminate karma through reincarnation. Wait a minute. Now, how could you believe in reincarnation? Is there really such a thing as reincarnation? What is karma? Karma is like a merit-demerit system.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, I had to join the ROTC, and the other thing they said that you got the merits, and then you had to do something, work extra hard to get rid of the demerits.
Mm-hmm.
That's what karma is. I hate to say that because we had a dog, Karma. She was a love. We put her down about 2 years ago. And any event, but we build up karma through sinning, if you will, sinning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to get too deeply into sinning. That's one part of it. But we are given many, many, many chances to remove bad karma from our spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to purify our soul in order to enjoy the richness of love and beauty of the eternal spiritual life with God. Okay? Because we're not going to die. So we might as well enjoy it. Your soul is a part of God. God is eternal. You are eternal. Your soul is eternal.
Mm-hmm.
And makes you believe in the hereafter. And now that I've gotten older, I believe in the hereafter. Because every time I walk into a room, I say to myself, now what am I hereafter? That's a dumb.
I got it. That's pretty good. I like it.
Yogi Berra said, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. So
That's true.
we need to know where we're going in this lifetime, right? So let's go to the next slide. All right. So we accrue bad karma by sinning, by doing things that hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
How do we eliminate karma? By showing unconditional love, helping others, forgiveness, compassion, devotion, by reaching the 4th chakra level, anahata. I don't know if you think what Jesus taught us, he taught us from the 4th chakra level, all these beautiful things, love and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when we show this to other people, we decrease our karma and makes us, our soul more purified. But it may take many, many reincarnations to reach this level and to remove chakra, right there, the shackles of karma. I'm sorry, that's a spelling. Shackles of karma. So each incarnation that we experience,
Mm-hmm.
it's a gift to ourselves, really. And it's a learning lesson.
Right.
So most people do not learn, unfortunately. They don't realize what this is all about, this life is all about. We must repeat our physical existence until we decrease or eliminate karma. As I said, this is a gift to ourselves. Now, you're going to say, well, how do you know? How do you know this? That there's that we were spirits and we chose to be born to eliminate karma. Well, I had mentioned to you before, but I also became certified in hypnotherapy. And one of the therapies we use is past life regression.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, I said, oh, people don't know what they're talking about, past life regression. Anyway, it's used as a tool. There's people in this lifetime that are bewildered and are vexed by certain emotions, and they don't know where it came from. So what we do, we just say, all right, let's go back to a previous lifetime when this occurred. And by golly, they would go back to a previous lifetime and explain what happened. I've done a number of past life regressions on people, and I'm just amazed what they had to say. But to bring home the story, one of our hypnotherapists who have been practicing for many, many, many years, a long time ago, we had a meeting, and he brought this tape in of a young woman who he regressed to a previous lifetime. And she said in her previous lifetime, she was a nun. Her name was Sister Mary, and she was working at an orphanage in Boston. This goes way back, I don't know, 1920s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, there was a child playing in the road, and there was a car speeding down the road, and she ran into the road. She pushed the child aside, was hit by the car, and she died. So this is on tape. And the hypnotherapist said, it bothered him. So he called Boston. He knew the name of the orphanage, and he asked to speak to one of the older senior nuns. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And when the nun got on, and he started to ask about, was there a Sister Mary? And the nun said, oh, yes, she was a lovely young nun. Poor thing, she was killed by a car saving a child. Now, how do you put that together? Unless she really experienced that.
Right.
And then she went on to say that he brought her between lives before this lifetime after she had died. And she was saying that she knew who she was going to be. She knew her name. She chose her parents. And she had a pretty idea what was going to happen in this lifetime. So she returned to this lifetime. And there are so many, many stories about people that are between lives that tell their experiences. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I want to say a couple of things. This person from Facebook is stating that I believe once we are gone in the physical, our spirit is everlasting and we are reincarnated. And I wanted to see if you can hear Swami G speak.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Everybody can hear everybody. That's good enough.
a little nasal, but it's fine.
They can hear you. Great. So he was telling us this story, Swami G, about you talking about his dad. Do you recall doing that?
I recall parts of it. I recall telling him that his dog is in the room, and he says, I don't have a dog. I didn't have a dog. And then he called me a few days later and said, oh, I just lost a dog. It was the dog I loved. I don't know why I didn't remember.
No, but thinking about it again, this was the dog that my father had to remove from the street many, many years ago. And,
Okay.
David, what's your religion?
So I don't really define myself by a religion. I have a relationship with God. That's kind of how I define it, because I've in my life, like, even like I'm only 30 years old, but like at the same time, like I've thought about it in the sense of, hey, I love God and I have a relationship with him, and that defines my I feel like religion is something that it's something to classify you or like put you in a category, let me say.
Okay.
That's why I don't really subscribe to the word religion. I'm more of a, I believe in God and I have a relationship with him.
Okay.
Because I feel like religion is something that divides people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to mention something about that. I mean, that's fine. So you're a spiritual person, which is beautiful, beautiful. People that are very religious, whatever the religion is, if they abide by their religion and they try to be the best person they can be and show love and all the things we're talking about in their religion, that's wonderful. And don't change. You know? But if you feel that a little uncomfortable with religion, but you feel a kinship with God, an understanding of God and spirituality, that's beautiful also.
Absolutely. And I don't, at the same time, like I don't fault anybody for being a part of a religion.
No.
I just like, this is just like my understanding of it.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you see, the basis of our lives, the purpose of our lives, is to eliminate karma. However we do it, whether through religion, through spirituality, that's what's important, is to be a good person.
Okay.
By the golden rule, you know.
This question came in through the phone line, through the text line. By the way, guys, you can call the show or you can text the show. You can text your questions. And even though I didn't put the number up yet, I appreciate you dropping in. You can give us a ring at 786-530-1967. You are welcome to call or text your question in. However, we do have a question that has already come in, and it is, if God is energy and energy is God, what is the purpose of our creation?
You have to ask God that. But don't forget, we are individual consciousness, part of God. So our purpose is to become as purified as we possibly can. But we don't have to be reincarnated again.
Okay. Next question. It's actually to Swami G. Swami G, do you believe that we are God?
That we are God. Well, yes, in the sense that we have that in our core, in our essence, in our hearts, in our soul of souls, that is God, because everything is God. That, as Pat said about everything is atoms. So God has made everything. So God is in everything. There's a wonderful saying in Sanskrit, the Hindu language, the Vedic language, that says there's this nothingness, and from this nothingness without moving, without losing any of itself, it became two. And the second part of it was whole, and the first part was whole. The first part remained eternal, unbounded. The second part became physical, which is our world. And so it's the same thing. A baby is born from a mother. Is the baby human? Of course it is. Is the baby the mother's baby? Of course it is. So the world has been born. The people in it's been born from God, from the eternal God, and so it's part of God.
Okay. All right.
Like a hologram. You cut a hologram into pieces, and every one reflects the whole thing.
That's interesting.
But I wouldn't say that humans are the omnipresent, all-knowing, all-being God, the creator of creators.
Okay. One more question just popped in. Dr. Cote, glad you are here. Can you please tell us more about our psychic connection?
It's something I'm working on now with Swamiji. Swamiji is offering a course on being a psychic and psychic healing.
Okay.
I think maybe Swamiji has a better answer, but as I said, we are all connected through, if you will, through spirit, through energy. We are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to, I think we don't do it by ourselves. We could have this psychic connection and healing and all that. We go through the spirits. The spirits assist us in healing, in knowing. The spirits talk to us or give us signs so that we better understand.
All right.
The thing is, we have to listen. That's one of the problems. We don't listen.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Communicate. Yes. And something Swamiji always stresses.
So I'm reading your slide. It says God gives us many chances to purify our souls. What do you mean by that?
Well, in each lifetime, we're given some signs. A lot of times we just ignore them to do good, to help people, to express love and forgiveness and charity and all this. So we have many chances. And not only that, we have to go through many, many lifetimes, many incarnations to learn the lessons, how to do this. And I think people that maybe practice yoga or know something about the chakras, they have a better idea. Also, people that are religious, maybe people listening to us tonight, the chance to help them purify their souls. I think that's what it's about.
So, from your perspective, where does the defect come in? Because God is perfect, okay?
Yes.
God is perfect.
Absolutely.
So, where did the defect come from?
Well, we have a free will. We have a conscience, but we also have a free will. We can listen to conscience, but we don't have to listen to conscience. We do what we want, whatever brings us pleasure. And
if that's the case, then wouldn't our free will come from the source itself, which would then still be perfect?
No, not necessarily.
How come it's not perfect?
We are given the free will. It's up to us to utilize it properly.
It depends what you mean by perfect also, because God's given us free will and we have to experiment with it, play with it. And if you want to say a mistake is imperfection. It's a part of what God created. And if we learn from it, then that's perfect too.
Right. I think what it is that we, like, God knows that we aren't perfect, but I think that's perfect for God because he's able to teach us lessons through our imperfections, and through those lessons we become better, and by becoming better we increase or we decrease the karma.
You've got it. You've got it. That's exactly right. Yes.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, you have more slides to share with us. You have more to go.
I like this this quote by Gilbrand. It says, "God made truth with many doors to welcome every believer who knocks on them." So doesn't matter who you are, God is there for us.
Right.
All right. And the other thing I wanted to say is we have this lifetime. It's our gift to us. We decided to come on this earth now to help eliminate karma, all the bad deeds that we did in previous lives. We have this chance right now. Don't waste it. Don't throw it away. This is wonderful. Take advantage of it. Do your good works now. Purify your soul. Decrease your karma. And let's go to the next slide, please.
I mean, but can't you have good karma also?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, but it's the bad karma we have to get rid of. We want that.
Okay.
Right.
Like I said, it's like a demerit system. We want to get rid of those demerits, but we want to build up the merits.
Right.
Okay.
You want to eliminate some of the bad with some good.
Right. Exactly. So as I mentioned before, we're in control.
As much as we know.
Yeah. But we have a free will, and sometimes the free will leaves us astray because we again harken back to the chakras, the second chakra. We do things that bring us pleasure, that's fine, but if it becomes an addictive pleasure, that's bad. Okay, then it's excess. Anyway, so
And addictive pleasure. Interesting.
yeah. Now we had the golden life is to decrease karma, to eliminate karma, so that we could lead a very loving, wonderful life in the spirit world. But there's something else to it. Sometimes we're born because we want to accomplish something on this earth. We have a desire. The earth. For instance, if someone wants to become a great pianist in a previous lifetime, they may choose parents who are in the musical industry, and they'll learn from them. Okay. Someone may want to become a doctor, may choose parents that are doctors or a doctor. Someone in the medical profession or funeral business. What? Who wrote that in there? Funeral business. Where did that come from?
Wait. Well, maybe, but I'm like, do you think that Hitler decided to be Hitler? He was, him and God was hanging out, and they were like, okay, what I want to do is.
Well, he didn't listen to his conscience.
Okay.
He made bad choice. Okay. But I did tell you something that I was raised in a funeral home. I don't know if I mentioned this to you before.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of grief, a lot of sorrow. And I said, it made me feel very powerless and ineffective. So that's why I wanted to become a doctor. So I told my father, Dad, I want to become a doctor. He said, no, you got to become a film director. said, I don't want to become a funeral director. So he said, well, your brothers went to mortuary school and you have to go to mortuary school. And then he hit me with a whammo and he said, you go to mortuary school first. I'll pay for your education, medical school.
Wow.
But the other thing he said, which made a lot of sense, was he said, look, you'll always have something to fall back on.
Right.
It was the family business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he made some cogent arguments, and so on. It was only 1 year of mortuary school, and I loved it because it taught a lot of the medical subjects, pathology, physiology, bacteriology, and all that business. Anyway, but that's so I
So
remember.
not only are you a radiologist, you're a nuclear medicine physician, you have your PhD in Ayurvedic medicine, but you're also a mortuary. Get out of town.
Yeah, that's what my wife says. You're weird.
Oh, look. You know what? More and more, you are the right person to be talking to about these subject matters. My
Mhm.
goodness.
Yeah.
Also, doctor, I actually do have a question, and I've seen this on TV, but I actually want to ask you firsthand because you're someone that's in this business. Does being around when you were doing mortuary, growing up in the mortuary, did it make you more grateful for life,
Mm.
or did it make you more excited about life?
Well, the way you put it there, it's both. I felt I wanted to help people to prevent people from dying, but it's not that easy. When I was an intern, we had some real difficult cases of young people dying, and it tore my heart out. But in any event, it makes you cherish life a lot more, definitely. No question about it. Yeah.
Wow.
So maybe someone wanted to be a certain mate in a previous lifetime. Maybe you saw a woman or man or whatever in a previous life that you wanted to spend time with, but it never worked out. Somebody was killed, died, whatever. And then you wish to be reincarnated to be with that person.
But wouldn't you be able to spend time with that energy while you were in the heavens?
It doesn't always work that way. It's a physical attractions and connection is a little different than spiritual connection.
Well, I guess
Hopefully,
you
when you
don't have
die, but when you die, you probably maybe together at that time.
maybe. I don't know. But very interesting.
Mm.
All righty. What say you, Swami? What's your thought?
Just rephrase the question because I was thinking of a bunch of things you were talking about.
That's okay. We'll move on. It's just that Doc was saying, maybe someone comes back because they had a romantic connection, on Earth, and they needed to pursue it. And I said, can you get that connection if you're both in heaven?
See, that's the thing, though. But if you're not both there,
that has happened. I've had clients. They've asked what their parents are doing. They weren't that friendly in life, and they were not unfriendly in the afterlife, but they were off doing different things with different people. So that does happen. Yeah. Good call.
All right. And David, what were you going to say?
I said that maybe that as maybe you're in heaven, but the person that you want to be there is not there. I would think that God is either comforting you or he's like filling the void. You know what I mean? Like he's giving you what you need so that you don't necessarily need that person, but you're content with what you have instead of what you don't have.
Well, I believe I married my soulmate.
I know. So you believe in such things as soulmates?
Oh, yes.
Wouldn't God ultimately be our soulmate? Wouldn't he be the fulfillment there?
Well, it gets complicated. We're talking about the physical attraction, and then later on, I think my brother John, he died 2 years ago, and his wife died a year later. My wife's parents, her father died, and 18 months later, her mother died. And they had beautiful relationships, and I believe that the individual soul was missing something and needed to be with the other soul. I think they're all together. I'm not. Can I prove it? No, I can't prove it. But that's what I look at.
It's a very nice thought.
Yeah, Swami, what were you saying?
I said that I believe happened with my parents. They were in a car accident, and the report that came to me was that my father passed instantly. My mother came back to consciousness, and then passed on. And they always used to talk to me about how their love was so strong they'd always be together. And I kind of felt that in that moment, my mother came back to life, check on her children psychically, and they said, "Okay, they're going to be all right. I'm going to go with my husband," and they went off together.
I mean, but isn't there a thought? Because there's the story that comes to my mind, and it's a biblical story. And I think it's the Pharisees are asking God about there is this husband, and he dies, and he leaves his wife a widow, and so then the wife marries a brother, and or what have you, and it just goes on that way. And they say, well, whose wife will she be in heaven? And God and Jesus is like, nobody. There is no marriage in heaven.
No marriage, but there's love. There's love among everyone. That's
Well, yeah, definitely. I believe that there is love, but I also want to believe and think that there is a greater completion.
You know what?
That
in heaven, anything is possible. Anything is possible in heaven. Okay, good, Swamiji.
Sorry. I think for me, it's important to make a distinction that there is, and I speak from when I do the readings for people, because theory, I don't like to speak theory unless I experience something. So, like I said, there are people who have passed and they're off doing things in heaven they always loved on earth, like live at the beach or live in Florida or ride horses but heaven's not the end goal. Heaven on earth is an end goal. The enlightenment of God love for everybody when heaven comes onto earth. So earth is the place that we really come to learn our lessons. And if we're coming to earth to find a love again, it's to having that love in heaven is kind of like a vacation. It's not like real like it is on the earth because you don't have the challenges. But you come back to earth and you find that soulmate, if you will, that you missed the last time around. So now is your opportunity to learn things that only humans can learn. And it's said that that Earth is one of the schools in this world, in the worlds, in the universes, and it's the only one that has free will. And to learn on the Earth is the hardest school, but it's also the most rewarding and the most quickest way to get to self-realization. You are one with God.
So I have a question for each of you. Are you coming back? If you have a choice, are you staying in heaven, or are you coming back? Since we're going with this kind of theory.
I'm not sure I can answer that one.
Well, I have a couple questions.
What? Listen, this is yes or no. I'm doing a round table, and I'm starting with David. David, are you coming back?
Probably not.
No, you're not coming back. Swami G, are you coming back?
All right, well, I'm going to sort of turn the tables here a little bit. I just said this to a friend of mine today. I believe because of this new age that we're in, that we no longer have to die to be reincarnated. And many people their lives have totally changed. They're totally different people. They're making brand new choices. They're going in totally different directions. The old selves have died, and that happened since 2012, but particularly around the COVID time, where people really were forced to think things through and let go of things that just didn't work anymore, and making new choices. So there are people, and again, as I said that myself today to a friend, she's also a psychic medium. She goes, absolutely. So I'm right on board with you on that. Wow. So when we talk about reincarnation from ancient civilizations, it was a different time. The consciousness of the creation is so high now, and particularly on Earth, that we have the ability. What happens when reincarnation? The body wears out, and we haven't learned all our lessons. So we take off that set of clothing and put on a new set of clothing, and continue the learning. Except we forgot that everything we learned when we come back in the body. The doctor smacks us. Well, wait a minute, what happened? And when we're born, but now we can remember our last lifetime of that. Even though we're here now and we didn't die, or we psychically died, and so now we can say, okay, I'm going to go off and do this that I never did before. But I remember all these things from my last choices, and so it's going to be easier, and I can continue doing it. There's no logical reason that we have to die, except at a certain point it was so dark, it was so heavy that people couldn't live very long. So that's my realization, and I've been sharing that with people, and others are coming to that same conclusion.
I'll give you a pause, but when I come back, you have to say yes or no. that was not yes or no, Swami G. Doctor, yes or no? Are you coming back?
Probably.
Probably. All right. See, he didn't even give you long.
Well, you know what? If you live a good lifetime here, when you come back, life may even be better for you.
Yeah.
If you live a very bad life and you build up the merits and you have to come back, you could come back and be very miserable. You could be infirmed. You could be crippled, deaf, or some terrible handicap that you have to get over in order to decrease your karma. So there's no free lunch.
Do you think those who have these very challenging circumstances have somehow done something bad? I don't know if I necessarily.
Well, the question is, the whole question is, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, they are in the process of eliminating their karma. That's what it's about, to eliminate karma.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, Swami G, we're back to you. Yes or no? Are you coming back?
I don't know if I'm ever leaving again.
Okay, there we go. I'll accept that. All right, Doctor, tell us about this last slide about our guardian angels.
Yeah, I mentioned the prayer to the guardian angel last time, and people were asking about it. So I wanted to throw the slide up so they could see the prayer. In fact, it's on. You can go on Google and look it up. This is the Catholic prayer to the guardian angel, which I learned when I was I don't know 60 years old or whatever. And at first, I believed in guardian angel, then I didn't believe in a guardian angel. Then so many things happened in my life that I couldn't explain. I said, "Oh, maybe there is a guardian angel." And talking to Swamiji and talking to the angels, I tested out that theory, and it amazed me what I found out. Every time I had a problem, I would pray to my guardian angel, and the guardian angel would help me. I got lost one time. I didn't know where I was. I looked at the passenger seat. I said, "If guardian angel, you better be there and direct me out of here." And next thing I knew, I was on the highway driving home. I don't know. My dear cousin Dolph, he was in a terrible accident. I think I told you, where the car rolled over a number of times. He and his family got out of the car unscathed, not a scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels that there's somebody there guarding him and
Mm-hmm.
helping him. So the angels are there. We call them angels. They're really spirits. They're our guides. They're our guardians. And we should realize that they're always there for us and that we're never alone. So many people feel alone and dejected, but they're really never alone. They should pray to the angels, to the Holy Spirits.
Very interesting.
Mm.
I definitely um, think that there is an energy around us that is here to help us. The Holy Spirit. I mean, even the Bible tells us that the Holy Spirit is here as our help.
Absolutely. Just have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I want to say is we always talk to angels, ask them for things, ask them to help, this, and that, and the other thing. When they do help, you should always thank the angels, the God, the spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be like the guy that was looking for, that was late getting to the meeting, and he's driving around in a parking lot, couldn't find a parking place. He says, "Oh God, if you get me a parking place, I'll be good. I'll pray every day. I'll go to church every day, blah, blah, blah." All of a sudden, the parking place opens up in front of the doorway, and he says, "Oh, never mind, God, I found a parking place."
Right, right, right. That's
Not
something.
good.
I tell you. I tell you.
I feel like
All
we've
right.
all been there.
Yeah, that's for
Mhm.
sure. Everyone, this is Dr. Cote's social media. He can be emailed. He has a website. He has Twitter and Facebook. He has Twitter as long as Twitter doesn't blow up and go away. I,
Yeah, well, I don't use
I
Twitter too
really
much.
like Twitter. I really like Twitter, but it seems to be on shaky
Yeah.
ground.
Yep.
Swami, is Twitter going to go away or are we going to be able to keep it?
I think it'll be here for a while.
It's going to be here a while. that's that's great. I'm glad we're going to be able to keep Twitter. Are there any parting words, family?
Well, um, just remember you're never alone. We're never alone, and we shouldn't become dejected or rejected. The spirits are always there for you. They're there to help you, and they've been there with you all your life, all your spiritual life and physical life. Sometimes we only see one footprints in the sand. Sometimes we get carried over the finish line and don't realize it. I think I,
That
I think I,
that's
That's a very
beautiful.
comforting thought.
It is highly comforting. Swami, did you have anything you wanted to leave the family with? Any parting words?
Yes, I'd say that because we're in a new age and because it's getting easier and easier for all of us to grow quicker and quicker into our consciousness, into our God consciousness. Be alert. The answers are coming direct from God and angels and spirits to each of us. Each of us have a thought, gee, I wonder about this. And the answer comes right away. But as Pat said earlier, maybe we're not listening, or maybe go, oh, never mind, I got it. So be aware that you can get answers specifically for what you're needing without middle people, without a middleman, and without having to reference back to an ancient scripture, even though they're good. You know, if God came to you and said, you don't have to be reborn, you can just stay on the earth, for example. You could argue with God and say, oh no, God, you create a reincarnation, we have to die. But me not anymore. So what I'm saying is, listen for your specific, unique answers, and you'll get them now for a new life, new answer, new rules.
New answers and new rules. All right, David, it has been wonderful having you here as a special guest today. Thank you. And
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Coach.
My pleasure. Patrick, Swami, you guys are great. I'm just so thankful that you spent time with us today. And family, it's always a good day when I get to spend a time with you. Obviously, there's just more for us to talk about. We'll keep diving into this subject matter. I'll go ahead and make a special announcement that we are going to have a summit on these kinds of ideas. So we'll be taking a deep dive into this area. As I said before, it's been wonderful spending time with you. It's always a good day for me when we get to do these shows. But until next time, bye-bye for now.
Bye.
You're winning. You're winning. You're winning. You're winning.